purpose of this live is to um, help people understand what we're doing in the Art of Menopausing reset for fall of 2025. So before I even go there, I'm going to do a small prayer because this is an Ayurvedic um, channel, and I do prayers at the start of most of anything, um, just so that the vibration of the planet and what I'm about to do is in alignment. So the prayer that I'm going to do is a Vedic prayer that starts off most everything, and basically it's about removing obstacles, and it's a prayer to Ganesha. So bear with me or join in if you know this. If not, just feel the vibration and know that we are just going to be opening ourselves so that any obstacles that we may have from being here right now is going to be removed. And any obstacle that you have from going forward in your life, that also gets removed. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatikum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvanu Tibihi Siddhasatanam Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakayeshu Sarvada Siddhi Buddhi Shakti Sahita Srimam Mahaganatipataye Namo Namaha Nirvignam Kuru Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hi April, welcome. So let's just start off with the reasons why I decided to do this reset this fall. Over the past few years, I've been reluctant to do a reset, or rather, I've gone back and forth. Traditionally, resets, detoxes, cleanses are done in the fall season, and fall has been kind of challenging. Actually, all seasons have been challenging. Some have been lasting too long. Some have been starting too short. Temperatures are all over the place. I'm describing climate change. So, um, but I realize that we do need to have a cleanse or reset of sorts. More, we need more of them more often. Let's put it that way, because it's an ongoing thing where we're constantly taking in not only climate issues. The body just doesn't want to deal with it, but the environment itself is polluted in some form or another. And I think the hardest thing is that we don't feel human anymore. So so much that hello, Rosemary, welcome. We don't feel human anymore. At least I don't. It feels like there is something intervening between me and any sensory input that I'm taking in, or in between what is innately part of my being, and that's causing um, issues. It's causing attention issues. It's causing stress and anxiety, and all of that creates issues within the gut and your health as well. And if you are perimenopausal and beyond, it's going to also cause more symptoms and more drastic symptoms. So I decided to do this because this is my 1-year anniversary here on Substack. And I was looking back at what's happening, and with all the stress and the fear and the anxiety and the attention deficit or the stealing of attention, I realized that it's really difficult for people to practice Ayurveda, to do a reset. They know that they need it, but it's really challenging because there are just so many things grabbing our attention. So that's why I decided to do this. Over the next year, in 2026, I have this vision of creating small experiences for people which are designed to nurture. Um, uh, they're designed to help us see our internal wisdom with health practices that are foundational to Ayurveda, but they're also supporting the mind and the body and its functions, and it's adjusted to today's lifestyle. And that's really it, because there's nothing more disappointing or disheartening when you sign up for something or you set a goal for yourself and then realize that life has gotten in the way. So for 2026, every single um, month is going to have a small experience that you can start practicing within your life that doesn't take too long, and eventually it becomes such a habit for you that it will be part of your being, and it will help you connect and understand the difference between what is influencing you from the outside, what and how to connect with yourself. I think I've said enough on that particular piece. So, this reset today is basically an introduction as to why I want to do why we're doing this. Um, because we need to cleanse. We need to support the body systems in order to remove things that need to be removed. In Ayurveda, we call it ama, and ama has traditionally been um, translated as the word toxins, but I've called it undigested food stuff. And in actuality, it's unprocessed metabolic waste. So your body can remove those things naturally without additional um, mm, herbs or detox programs. It removes those naturally. But the problem is we live in a society where we have an abundance of everything. We have an abundance of food, even though, yes, there is hunger, but there is a lot of food, or food that is not actually food, um, being eaten. We also have an abundance of sensory inputs, which is something that needs to be digested. We have more information available to us than ever before, and each of these things have to be processed. And so that's what we're looking at. Um, so, so this reset is designed to take a pause from taking in all of those things. It's also designed so that you don't have to stay out of your life. You're there in your life with it. So that's the concept of ama. And in the fall season, Ayurveda has 3 doshas. So I invite you guys to ask me any questions on in the chat. Um, it as I go along, because I know I may be speaking Sanskrit, and not everyone understands Sanskrit, or even basic Ayurvedic concepts. So I'm going to go back to the original, what is Ayurveda, before I even go into these basic concepts. So Ayurveda is a medicine it's an indigenous medicine that is mostly promoted out of India, but in truth, um, every indigenous culture has had some form of practice that maintains health rather than just gets rid of disease. So this is the reset is about maintaining your health and supporting the body and the mind in order for it to do its job. So within Ayurveda, we divide the energies. So there are 5 elements, and we divide the energies into 3 doshas, and I call doshas the bioenergetic archetypes. Each one of us has all 3, but 1 or 2 may be more dominant than the others. The world that I described earlier, in terms of having too much, too varied, very disconnected, alone, anxious, stress, all of that comes under the purview of Vata dosha. So Vata dosha, which is one of those 3, is made up of ether and air. And in the the third part of life, um, everyone goes into this Vata stage of life. That's the elder stage. That's when we start getting dry and maybe cold and maybe thinner. Thinner meaning like the skin gets thin, the hair will get thin. Um, the body tries to maintain some fatty tissues, but sometimes it can't. Um, so what's happening during the fall season is that Vata comes up and it starts getting aggravated. And so the best thing to do for Vata dosha is to calm down and do nothing and be still. But that's impossible. And so the reset is designed to help you take those pauses within the day so that you can feel more human. The thing about Vata dosha, and there's Pitta dosha, which is fire, and there's Kapha dosha, which is earth and water. Um, I'm not going to go into that too much right now because it's really Vata that is most prevalent. Vata governs all movement, and when there are toxins in the system or undigested food stuff or unprocessed metabolic waste or minds that are stuck, that means that Vata itself is stuck, or conversely, Vata is moving too fast. And there are 5 different types of Vata within our bodies. And we can look at them as 5 different kinds of movements. And the first one is prana. So if you've been to a yoga class, prana is life force. It is air and oxygen. And during this reset, every single morning you will be receiving, you can either join me on YouTube and practice some form of prana promoting meditation with me and some more instruction as to what to do for the day. Um, but that's what we'll be working on, is to bring in more of our air, because or breath or life force, because when we're stressed and anxious, we find that we are not breathing during those times of stress. So every single morning for the next 7 days, you will be getting an email with an invite to the Zoom, where you can ask me questions and you'll have some more instructions on that. So that's every single morning. And then every single evening around this time, we will have another touch in to see what happened during the day for you, or some other kind of understanding about Vata or Ayurveda or what's going on with your system. So during the next 7 days, we're going to be looking to go to do some sensory intermission kind work, basically reducing the amount of time we're on screens, reducing the number of inputs, the TVs, we'll be going from digital to analog, basically. Um, we're looking to stop scattering the life force, because that's what we're doing all the time. There's something that is we're either scattering it by paying attention to too many things, or not to self at all, or there is something that is intervening between us. So a classic example is, if we go online and we happen to see the news, we're usually not seeing the news itself. We're seeing somebody else's interpretation of what is happening out there. And so the concept behind this particular reset, and the way I work with Ayurveda, is that you get to decide what is happening with yourself. You're the first person to witness these things, and there she is. She almost knocked it all over. You get to decide what's going on for you. You get to choose the types of foods that you're going to be eating. Now, when I say that, there's a little caveat. Of course, I am going to be giving you a list of, I'm going to be giving you 7 days worth of menus that you can eat. But that doesn't mean that you have to stick to the menu itself. This menu is just there for you so that you don't have to make decisions. Because that's part of that overload, is that we're making decisions, too many decisions about absolutely everything. And then then we get tired. We just get tired from that decision overload. So during the next 7 days, I'm going to be offering you some foods. And these foods are not special foods, meaning hopefully you have the spices in your kitchen. And there's lots of substitutions that you can do. Um, i- you can eat meat or not eat meat. In general, I'm offering non-meat, vegetarian meals, but if you feel that you need to have some meat to go along with it, be my guest. You need it. You are the authority of your body. The guidelines, though, are to try to eat less, perhaps. Meaning you're going to be eating to 2/3 of your stomach capacity, and you're going to eat 3 regular meals a day and no snacking in between, unless you absolutely have to. Um, you're going to not have iced foods or cold foods, because those are more difficult to digest. So you're going to want to have warmed foods, warm drinks, no smoothies, no raw foods. Raw foods are challenging for the body, and as we're going into fall, um, it's getting colder, so we want to keep the body warm. We want to keep the digestive capacity functioning, and it needs to be warm because our body needs to maintain some fat on it during the wintertime, just like every other mammal on the planet. They're going into a mode of eating more. Um, we Our digestive capacity is challenged because of the way we've been eating this whole time. So the idea of the reset is to pause it a little bit by still giving it food, still giving nutrition, but it's going to be in a manner that's much easier to digest, so that there's not as much metabolic waste happening afterwards, or that things that aren't digested properly, so that the body can start digesting the things that it hasn't digested before. I'm hoping that that makes sense, and if you have any questions, hi, Kathleen. Hi, Jackie. Please feel free to ask your questions in there. So, tomorrow morning, this is open to all paid members of Art of Menopausing. Uh, and for those people who are, um my cat wants to come over and do her thing, but I don't want her to. So it's my 1-year anniversary, and what I've done is I have offered 50% off of all annual members. And so this first reset is part of the experience that you're going to have every single month in 2026. If you were with me, thank you, Kathleen. If you were with me last month, I offered a kitchen clean out session. So if you did that along with me, you will have all of the spices that you need and more for cooking this. And if not, don't worry about it. You probably have it in your house. We're using simple, easy to get foods with lots of substitutions. And if you have a um, a challenge with any of these foods, of course, you're more than welcome to substitute. The other suggestion that I'm going to ask of you is to eat in a calm place with very few distractions. Um, any sensory input that happens for you while you're eating takes away internal attention from the food itself. So it's common for people who are sitting and eating at their desk to not even realize how much they're eating or what they're eating because they are busy on the computer, they're having lunch, whatever it is. Um, and they just don't know. So if your consciousness, if your attention is not with what you're doing, then it's going to go on autopilot and it may not fully digest all of the foods that you're taking in. You also may not receive all the nutrients out of the foods. And that is the first step in building appropriate tissues, in building appropriate function as well, because there are only two things that we really need in terms of life itself to support that life, and that's breath and food and water. Three things. Now I sounded like an Ayurvedic doctor because in the Sanskrit text, they say, well, there's 7 things, but here are 10 things to do. But that's not what we're going to do today. So food, water, air. Those are things that are just basically going to sustain life. And if the attention is not on it, you're not going to digest and or use those things appropriately. So back to eating in a calm place without distraction. The other things that I'm going to ask you to do, Ayurveda is known for eating fresh food. And I am not necessarily down with that. It's great because on a very high level, you have the fresher the food, the more life force it has in it. But our lives don't do that. I mean, I certainly don't have the time to cook fresh every single day. And I don't know anyone who lives in a nuclear family who really has the time to do that. Leftovers are part of the deal. So the food plan that I've got for you has leftovers in it. So what you're going to do is, and it's not going to be more than 24 hours. So just one day and that's enough, but you can always add something to it that's a little more on the fresh side, so that you're not just doing that. So, for instance, let's say there's a soup or a stew or something like that. And this goes for just outside, if you want to follow Ayurvedic practices or any health practice for that matter. Let's say you have a soup, and soup generally tastes better on the second day anyway. But let's say you have soup and you want to keep it over for the next day. So let's say you add the next day, you reheat it, but this time you can add fresh spinach to it and cook it up. So you're going to have a little bit more of the fresh prana, the fresh life force in it, and you can add that to it, and that will kind of up the deal. So that's what you're going to be doing on your own. Um, I think that's about it. So tomorrow, for anyone who is a paid supporter of Art of Menopausing, you will be receiving a booklet of practices. You will be receiving a Zoom invite to every single day. It's going to be the same Zoom invite. And then in the evening, we will also have a little check in, and that's going to be on a Substack thread. What that means is that I'm going to send out an email and you can comment on it and just reply to it, and I'll be there with you on it. Conversely, we may do a chat, but most people aren't that. What time is the Zoom? That is a great question. There's so before we go there, you don't have to. Where did I put it? The Zoom is going to be 10 a.m. my time, the early morning one. No, I'm sorry. It's going to be 8 a.m. Too many people, too many time zones floating around. 8 a.m. my time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. Any other parts of the country, I have no idea um, what that is, or any other part of the world. So you don't have to join me on the Zoom. If you don't have, I really want to give you permission to live your life and have this healthy way of being. Because that's what we're going to be doing for the entirety of 2026. Actually, since this is my anniversary here, and I feel like October is New Year anyhow, um, and because of the harvest seasons and the various traditions that have New Year's now, we're going to have these small little experiences every single month in order for you to just bring in Ayurveda into your life. And it's not going to force you to be harsh with yourself. You know, a lot of these programs are harsh. It's like one and done, or you go out into a retreat setting and it's okay for a day or two after you come home, but you can't, it's not sustainable in your life. So over the next year, we're going to be putting into practice little tiny things. So when it comes to this particular reset, if you can't do it in these next 7 days, if you can't meet every single one of these Zooms, it's okay. I give you permission. Give yourself permission not to show up all the time. Give yourself permission to just do one or two of the practices. Um, Even if you stop snacking during the day, that might be good enough for you. Or if you sit down and just watch your food as you're eating it and bring it in and taking it all of the senses in, that's good enough to reset, because the body doesn't like harsh stops, doesn't like harsh starts. So depending on wherever you are in your life, um, be gentle with it. So that's basically it. Um, looking at my notes here to see. Oh, yes. Do do avoid frozen foods, any frozen foods over the next week. Avoid cold food, old food. Old food is anything that's in a box, has preservatives, has chemicals in there. Um, and basically, we're going to do yoga, but we're going to do yoga in practice of the mind. We're going to be doing Tantra in practice, and we're going to be doing Ayurveda as a practice of life. And what you're going to find is that you're going to notice things about yourself. So if you have some sort of a habit, yeah, April, no salads, but you can warm salads. There are some salads in there, but not like the lettuces and nothing super cold. And if you really feel like you need to do a salad and that's your thing, then yes, we can get creative. We can. You need to have a lot more oil or fats in it, or more vinegars in it, so that the digestive process starts working. Um, but check out the recipes that I'm offering, because they are not just Indian recipes. They come from everywhere, and they're not challenging. Yes, you can add warming ingredients as well as warm ingredients to the salads. I think Korea actually has a steamed salad that they do. Um, ah, you're in the tropics this week, April. Fantastic. You can do salads. Just don't do the alcohols and the pina coladas that are in the tropics. And stay safe. I hear there are hurricanes. Um, let's see, what have I forgotten? So basically, let's this no booze. Yeah, no, that's an not during this reset. But, if you find that you can't do it over the next 7 days, and you can do it over the following 7 days. You can do it beyond this. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to regulate vata. We're trying to keep ourselves warm and warming if we are in a cold climate. Um, so we want to calm things down. We want to get to a space where I'm sorry, I'm reading April's chat. Not a drinker, not going to be a problem. But, whenever we're outside of our own homes, it is a problem. It's challenging to get some sort of regular foods into us. So hopefully you have a kitchen. Um, yes. Body radiates, as Kathleen is saying, my body always radiates heat and is very warm. Um, and comes from, um, that comes from Pitta dosha. Rather than the digestive system. So if you feel, we'll be able to work with that as well. If the warming foods, when I speak about them, there's warm in temperature, and then there's warm in spices. The warming in spices, or pungent foods, they're there to help to ignite the digestive system. And to support it. So sometimes the body feels warm because there's too much undigested food stuff in the system, and the body has raised the fire or the heat in order to digest it. And sometimes it's simply pitta, and the stage of life. So there's a variety of things that could be happening, but we can manage that, either in the chats, the evening threads, or the morning Zooms, you'll have access to me um, either way. Yes, it is also liver related. There's so many factors, but the idea for the reset is to pause the system, make it as easy as possible, as gentle as possible for it to digest any foods that you're taking in, any foods, any sensory materials, um, any drinks, because water has to be digested as well, so that it can do the work that it needs to do. That's basically what the process of this reset is. And in the course of it, you will find that you just feel more human, and you'll feel more calm, and you'll have a better understanding, and this is what I want to convey. You'll have a better understanding of what your body is asking of you to do, and how the qualities of the foods in your environment, how it affects your body. So you get to be your own doctor. You get to be your own healer. You get to be your own coach if you have these basics understandings. Um, and then if there is actually something beyond that, beyond, if there's an active issue happening, that's when you know you can go to a quote unquote doctor or expert or coach or healer or whatever we want to call them. I am so glad, Kathleen, that this is going to work for you. Yes, sitting with the self is really important, and um, I feel that, yes, we lose people, and we've lost a lot in terms of just being human with other people. We've lost family in terms of uh, just being estranged. We've lost countries. We've lost what we thought was our grounding work, and we've become so disconnected from it that it makes all of the grief even worse, because we sometimes are looking outside of ourselves for answers, and they're never going to satisfy. We can have support and communication, but somebody else's answers to something that is innately human within ourselves, that is unique to ourselves, is never going to work. So my hope is that I support you in at least this very small way in this container, so that you can do the work that and the honoring and the loving of self to do for yourself. Because, on a very basic level, if you're not feeling well, it, physically, how how do you begin to meditate? How do you begin to fully process the grief when you're being pulled in a couple of directions because you can't digest your food? All right. So we've gone a little bit longer than I had spoken to. So if you are watching this and you are not yet a um, a supporter of Art of Menopausing, the 50% off annual is there for the 30 days, I believe. You'll see it once you hit the subscribe button or the upgrade button. It'll tell you exactly how long this is for. And know that even if you see this in 2 or 3 days, you'll still have access to the resets. You will still be able to get the recordings and the dietary plans and the food plans and all the whatever I pour, pour through to this reset. You'll still have access to this. And if you can't do it this week, you can do it next week. It just won't be fully live, but you will have access to me through through those threads, which will stay open for quite a while. All right. So thank you so much. If no one has any other questions, um, I will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. Eastern. No, 10 a.m. Eastern. Is that right? Yes. And oh, I messed up the times again. 8 a.m. my time. Anyhow, um, have a great one, and I will see you. The email, yes, will come automatically. It to whatever you signed up with on the Substack. Okay? So, and if it's not there, just shoot me an email or something, and I will get right back to you. Okay? All righty. Have a great one and a great evening. I'll see you in the morning.